Pennsylvania, the Keystone State. It was forged in revolution, built on steel and coal. Its story is etched into every covered bridge and towering skyscraper. But behind that familiar history, another story was written, one of resilience, ambition, and faith, penned by a handful of families who arrived with little more than a dream. These weren't just immigrants. They were architects of commerce and culture. They didn't just build businesses. They shaped the very fabric of the state. They turned muddy riverbanks into bustling marketplaces and remote wilderness into thriving towns. Their influence is woven so deeply into Pennsylvania's identity that most of us pass by their legacies every day without a second thought. Today, we're counting down the 10 biggest Jewish family businesses that helped build Pennsylvania. We'll journey from the perilous roots of 19th century peddlers to the boardrooms of the 21st century. And the surprising origin of the empire at number 1 will make you see the Keystone State in a whole new light. Now, before we start, a quick heads up. Ranking these families is tough. Fortunes are fluid, often private, and their real impact goes way beyond just dollars and cents. It's measured in jobs created, communities built, and landscapes transformed. So think of this less as a formal ranking and more as a journey through the incredible history of Jewish entrepreneurship in Pennsylvania. A story of turning small beginnings into lasting dynasties. Number 10. The Peddler Pioneers, the Friedlander Brothers. Coming in at number 10 isn't a single massive corporation, but the foundational entrepreneurs who made everything else possible, the peddlers. And no story captures this starting point better than that of the Friedlander Brothers of Homestead, Pennsylvania. This isn't a tale of a towering headquarters or a billion-dollar valuation, but of the sheer grit that built American commerce from the ground up. In the late 19th century, for many Jewish immigrants from Eastern Europe, peddling was the only entry point into American business. It was a grueling, dangerous life. Brothers like David and Louis Friedlander would load up horse-drawn carts with essentials, pots, pans, cloth, and travel from farm to farm into the most remote corners of western Pennsylvania. This wasn't just a sales job. It was an act of courage. These men were often lone Jews in unfamiliar territory, facing loneliness, the risk of being attacked, and even arrest for not having the right daily licenses. The Friedlanders, having left Lithuania, started like so many others. David would venture out from Pittsburgh, sourcing goods and delivering them to isolated farm families. He found a promising territory south of the Monongahela River in a burgeoning town called Homestead. While one brother braved the roads, another, Benjamin, saw the next step. After they saved enough money, he did what every peddler dreamed of. He put down roots. In 1899, Benjamin opened the Busy Beehive clothing store on Homestead's main street. This was the classic playbook, from the uncertainty of the road to the stability of a storefront. Soon, the Friedlander family had a whole ecosystem of businesses in Homestead. As more relatives immigrated, they opened grocery stores, clothing shops, and even a dairy farm. Within a single generation, this family, which started with one man and a cart, had built a portfolio of businesses that served and employed their new community. The Friedlanders represent the thousands of anonymous peddlers who, through immense hardship, laid the commercial bedrock of Pennsylvania, turning grit into grocery stores and tenacity into textile shops. Number 9. The Small-Town Builders, the Katz and Zeman families. While the big cities tell one part of Pennsylvania's story, the state's true heart often beats in its smaller towns. At number 9, we honor the families who became the anchors of these communities, like the Katzes of Canonsburg. Their empires weren't measured in square miles, but in the loyalty of their neighbors. Take Jacob Katz. A Polish immigrant, he spent years peddling through the hills of western Pennsylvania before settling in Canonsburg in 1911. With his wife, Fanny, He opened a narrow hardware store on East Pike Street. It wasn't a grand enterprise, but it was vital. A sign in the window cheekily proclaimed, "We have it if you can find it." Jacob's store was more than just a place for nails and tools. It was a cultural bridge. He spoke Polish, Slavic, and Russian, making him an essential figure for the immigrant mill and mine workers. He wasn't just a shopkeeper. He was a translator and a familiar face. After Jacob passed away in 1936, his 4 sons took over and expanded, moving to a larger building and annexing neighboring properties under the motto, "Watch us grow." Katz Brothers Hardware became such an institution that Canonsburg native singer Bobby Vinton famously bought 100 bathtub stoppers there to send to disc jockeys as a promotional gag. This story was mirrored across the state by families like the Zemans, who ran a general store in western Pennsylvania selling everything from wallpaper to shoes. These small-town stores were the lifeblood of their communities, often operating on credit and trust. The Katz store finally closed in 1988 after a 77-year run, but the family's entrepreneurial spirit lived on. One son, Harry, learned about the pest control business from a supplier at the hardware store. In 1946, he bought the company, Elko, and became affectionately known as Killer Katz, building a whole new legacy. These families prove the biggest businesses aren't always the ones with the tallest buildings, but the ones that build the strongest communities. Number 8. Aaron Levy, the visionary founder. So far, our list has focused on those who built businesses in existing towns, but at number 8 is a man who didn't just open a store. He founded an entire town. Aaron Levy was a merchant and land speculator who established Aaronsburg in 1786, the first town in the United States planned and named by a Jewish man. Aaron Levy immigrated from Amsterdam around 1760, drawn to the risk and opportunity of the frontier. He started as a merchant, trading with local farmers and Native American tribes along the Susquehanna River. But Levy was more than a shopkeeper. He was a patriot. During the Revolutionary War, he became a major financier for the Continental Congress, providing loans that helped fund the fight for independence, though they were never fully repaid. After the war, Levy dove into the Great Land Rush. In 1779, he purchased a 334-acre plot of land right in the geographic center of Pennsylvania. Here, his grand vision took shape. In 1786, he officially laid out the town of Aaronsburg, designing its wide, orderly streets with the hope that it might become the county seat or even the state capital. Levy's vision was one of pluralism. In a remarkable gesture, on November 16, 1789, he and his wife Rachel donated land to the German Lutheran immigrants in the area for the purpose of building a church and a school. A prominent Jewish founder providing the land for a Christian congregation was extraordinary for its time and became a powerful symbol of interfaith tolerance. Though Aaronsburg never became the bustling metropolis Levy dreamed of, his legacy endured. For over 150 years, the town's origins were a quiet piece of local history. Then, in 1949, the Aaronsburg story became a national event. Over 30,000 people, including Supreme Court Justice Felix Frankfurter, descended on the tiny village for a pageant celebrating Levy's founding and his historic gift. It was a powerful post-war statement about religious and racial tolerance in America. Aaron Levy's business wasn't just land, it was building a community founded on an ideal. Number 7. The Kaplan Baking Company. The Matzah Empire of Pittsburgh. At number 7, we find an industry where faith and commerce intersect: kosher foods. For decades, one of the most significant Jewish businesses in western Pennsylvania wasn't a department store, but a bakery that became an international lifeline: the Kaplan Baking Company of Pittsburgh. Founded in the early 1880s, the Kaplan Baking Company was a fixture in Pittsburgh's Hill District. While they made bread and cakes year-round, each spring the factory on Logan Street underwent a remarkable transformation. the entire operation switched to the highly specialized production of matzah, the unleavened bread essential for the Jewish holiday of Passover. Making kosher for Passover matzah is a serious business, governed by strict religious laws. From the moment flour is mixed with water, the entire process must be finished in under 18 minutes to prevent leavening. Each year, the company's food inspector, Jacob Radbourd, would travel to personally oversee the grinding of the wheat. He then monitored the entire production run, ensuring every sheet of matzah met the highest standards. The company wasn't just a local bakery, it was a regional powerhouse. At its peak in the late 1920s, Kaplan was shipping a staggering amount of matzah each spring, with some reports suggesting close to 1 million pounds. Its reach extended far beyond Pittsburgh, supplying Jewish communities throughout the northern Appalachian region. But perhaps the company's most profound impact came after World War I. With European Jewish communities devastated, the Kaplan Baking Company became an essential link for families separated by the Atlantic. It created a system allowing families in Pennsylvania to ship boxes of their locally made matzah to relatives abroad, ensuring the traditions of Passover could be observed even amid post-war chaos. It was more than just food. It was a taste of home and a message of survival. The company ultimately liquidated in the mid-1940s as national giants grew, but for over 60 years, the Kaplan family didn't just run a business. They nourished a community with flour, water, and faith. Number 6. Gimbel's, the merchant rival. At number 6 is a name that for generations was synonymous with American retail. A giant whose rivalry with Macy's was immortalized in Miracle on 34th Street. This is the story of Gimbel's, a department store empire founded by a Bavarian Jewish immigrant that grew from a frontier trading post into a national behemoth. The story starts in Vincennes, Indiana, in 1842. A young immigrant peddler named Adam Gimbel opened his first general store with an innovative principle: fair, fixed prices. No haggling. This simple idea built a foundation of trust that would become the cornerstone of his family's success. He and his wife had 7 sons, who all went into the family business. After Adam's death, his sons looked to expand. They opened a major department store in Milwaukee in 1887, but their sights were set on bigger prizes. In 1894, they made their move on Pennsylvania, opening a massive Gimbel's in Philadelphia, and later another flagship store in Pittsburgh. The Gimbel's ambition was relentless. They expanded to New York City, famously building their store just 1 block from their arch-rival, Macy's. They were also showmen. The Gimbel's Thanksgiving Day Parade in Philadelphia, started in 1920, is the oldest Thanksgiving parade in the country, predating the famous Macy's parade by 4 years. The family's influence grew exponentially when they acquired Saks & Cummins in the 1920s, developing Saks Fifth Avenue into a symbol of high fashion. By 1930, Gimbel Brothers was the largest department store chain in the world by sales revenue. The Philadelphia store itself was a behemoth, eventually covering an entire city block with 50 acres of space. Though the Gimbel's stores closed for good in 1987, their legacy is undeniable. The family showed how a business rooted in fair dealing could grow into a global force, changing the way America shops and defining the golden age of the department store. We're halfway through, and the stories are only getting bigger. We've seen peddlers become proprietors and small-town shops become community cornerstones. If you're enjoying this trip through Pennsylvania's hidden history, take a moment to subscribe and hit that notification bell. We have more incredible stories of hidden empires coming your way, and you won't want to miss them. Now, back to the countdown. Number 5. The Binswanger family, the real estate titans. At number 5, we shift from the goods inside the stores to the very land and buildings that house them. This is the story of the Binswanger family, a dynasty that, from Philadelphia, built a global commercial real estate empire. For over 90 years, the Binswanger name has been the quiet force behind some of the biggest real estate deals in the world. The story begins in 1931, deep in the Great Depression. While other businesses were collapsing, Frank G. Binswanger Sr. founded his company in a single Philadelphia office. He earned a reputation as a bulldog in the industry, known for his relentless drive to get a deal done while treating his employees like family. From the start, Frank Sr. was instrumental in shaping Philadelphia's physical landscape, playing a key role in developing Penn Center and the Independence Mall building. But his vision was always bigger than one city. He foresaw the post-war economic boom in the American South and West, expanding his firm across the country through the 50s, 60s, and 70s. The business remained a family affair. Frank Jr. and John Binswanger eventually took the helm, and today, fourth-generation family members David and Jeff Binswanger continue to lead in the company. This continuity has allowed the firm to maintain its founding culture, combining global expertise with the personal touch that comes when your name is on the door. By the 1990s, Binswanger had become a truly international force, working with more than half of the Fortune 500 on massive industrial and commercial projects. While the company transitioned to an employee-owned model in 2018, the Binswanger family remains deeply involved. From a single office opened in the darkest days of the Depression, the Binswanger family built a quiet empire, not by selling products on a shelf, but by shaping the very ground on which American business stands. Number 4. The Annenberg family, the media moguls. Coming in at number 4 is a family whose empire wasn't built on land or retail, but on information itself. From their base in Philadelphia, the Annenberg family, led by the towering figure of Walter Annenberg, created one of the most powerful media conglomerates of the 20th century. Through Triangle Publications, they controlled what Americans read and watched, wielding immense influence over politics and culture. The story begins with Walter's father, Moses Annenberg, a fiercely ambitious immigrant who built a publishing fortune that included the Philadelphia Inquirer, purchased in 1936. But the family's path was rocky. Moses was indicted for tax evasion, and when he died in 1942, a young Walter inherited a company riddled with debt and scandal. It was Walter who transformed this troubled inheritance into a media juggernaut. He had an uncanny sense of the American public's appetite. In 1944, he launched 17 magazine, a revolutionary publication for teenage girls that became a massive success. But his masterstroke came in 1953. Against all advice, Annenberg consolidated local television pamphlets into a single national publication, TV Guide. The magazine was a phenomenon. At its peak, it earned profits of up to $1 million a week, becoming one of the most successful magazines in American history. Under Walter, the Triangle Empire grew to include the Philadelphia Daily News, radio and TV, stations, and a vast cable network. Annenberg understood that media was power, using his influence in politics, which culminated in his appointment by President Nixon as the U.S. ambassador to the United Kingdom. In 1988, Walter Annenberg sold Triangle Publications to Rupert Murdoch for a staggering $3 billion. He then dedicated the rest of his life to philanthropy, giving away billions to universities, hospitals, and museums, including an art collection valued at over $1 billion to the Metropolitan Museum of Art. The Annenberg family's business was shaping the American conversation. From Philadelphia, they built an empire of words and images that didn't just report on the culture, they created it. Number 3. The Kaufman family, the merchant princes of Pittsburgh. At number 3, we return to the department store. But this is the story of a family that didn't just build a store, they built a city's heart. For 144 years, the Kaufman family and their iconic downtown Pittsburgh Department stores were a center of civic life and the creators of an architectural masterpiece recognized around the world. The journey began in 1868 when Jacob Kaufman and his brothers arrived from Germany. They started by selling goods to coal miners and steel workers, eventually opening a small men's clothing store in 1871. As they prospered, they moved downtown, and in 1885, they unveiled a majestic new building at Fifth Avenue and Smithfield Street. The big store would become a legendary landmark for generations of Pittsburghers. Guided by their father's advice, "Sell to others as you would buy for yourself," Kaufman's became a symbol of Pittsburgh's Gilded Age prosperity. It grew into a 12-story behemoth, and the gilded Kaufman's clock on the corner became the city's most famous meeting place, immortalized in the phrase, "Meet me under the clock." The family's influence extended far beyond retail. They were immense philanthropists, establishing the Irene Kaufman Settlement and the Emma Kaufman Camp, which still thrives today. But it was Jacob's son, Edgar J. Kaufman, who elevated the family name to international renown. A man of sophisticated taste, E.J. saw the store as a cultural institution, bringing in high fashion and art. It was this passion that led to the family's most enduring legacy. In the 1930s, Edgar and his wife commissioned architect Frank Lloyd Wright to design a weekend home for them in the mountains. The result was Fallingwater, a breathtaking masterpiece built over a waterfall. Considered by many to be the greatest work of American architecture, Fallingwater forever linked the Kaufman name with artistic genius. The flagship store eventually closed, but the Kaufman legacy is indestructible, living on in their philanthropy, their city's memories, and the timeless beauty of Fallingwater. Number 2. Albert M. Greenfield, the outsider who built Philadelphia. While many on our list built empires in one industry, the man at our number 2 spot built an empire out of Philadelphia itself. Albert M. Greenfield was a Ukrainian Jewish immigrant who arrived with nothing and, through sheer force of will, became arguably the most powerful man in Pennsylvania. He was a real estate tycoon, a banker, and a political kingmaker who remade Philadelphia in his own image. Born Avram Moishe Grunfeld in 1887, his family settled in South Philadelphia. Albert dropped out of school at 14 to work as a real estate clerk. And there, he found his calling. He had a computer-like mind for details and a fascination with property. In 1905, at just 17, with $500 his mother borrowed for him, he opened his own real estate firm. His rise was meteoric. Within a decade, he was a multimillionaire. Greenfield had an unmatched ability to see a property's potential and a persuasive, often bullying manner that let him assemble deals nobody else could. He acquired banks to finance his deals, creating a self-sustaining ecosystem of development. By the 1920s, his company was the largest real estate firm in the U.S., and he had literally rebuilt the face of downtown Philadelphia. The Great Depression hit his banking ventures hard, but undeterred, Greenfield saw the crash as an opportunity, buying up distressed businesses at bargain prices. His holding company grew to control an astonishing array of assets. Department stores like Litt Brothers and Bonwit Teller, Tiffany & Co.'s, the Philadelphia Yellow Cab Company, and numerous major hotels. But Greenfield's true power was infusing business and politics. He became a master strategist, building a new democratic machine that ended a century of Republican control. His influence was so pervasive that he became known simply as Mr. Philadelphia. An advisor to presidents from Hoover to Johnson, he was the ultimate outsider who became the ultimate insider, a man whose legacy is etched into the city's skyline and its very urban fabric. Number 1. The Roberts family, the Comcast Colossus. We've journeyed through centuries of history, from peddlers' carts to department store palaces. But our number 1 spot goes to a family that represents the absolute pinnacle of modern business power. A dynasty that, from its Philadelphia headquarters, built a global media and technology empire that shapes the daily lives of hundreds of millions. The Roberts family, founders of Comcast. This is the surprise we promised, because while Comcast is a household name, its story begins not in a gleaming skyscraper, but with a modest investment by one visionary man, Ralph J. Roberts. Born in New York, his parents were Russian Jewish immigrants. After graduating from the Wharton School and serving in the Navy, Ralph's early ventures were in manufacturing men's accessories, not media. The turning point came in 1963. Roberts saw potential in the unglamorous world of cable TV. With two partners, he purchased a small 1,200 subscriber cable system in Tupelo, Mississippi. That was the humble beginning. In 1969, he incorporated the company, inventing a name by combining communication and broadcast, Comcast. His vision was shaped by his heritage and his marriage to Suzanne Fleischer, an actress and philanthropist from a prominent Philadelphia Jewish family. Ralph's son, Brian L. Roberts, was born into the business. Groomed for leadership, he became president of Comcast in 1990 at just 31 years old. It was under Brian's aggressive leadership that Comcast transformed into a global colossus. The acquisitions were audacious: AT&T Broadband, which made them the biggest player in cable, followed by the blockbuster takeover of NBC Universal, which brought film studios, TV networks, and theme parks under their umbrella. More recently, the acquisition of Sky gave the company a massive international footprint. Today, the company, founded with a tiny Mississippi cable system, is a leader in broadband, streaming, and entertainment. The Philadelphia skyline is dominated by the two Comcast towers, tangible symbols of the family's immense success. Building on his family's legacy, Brian has also embraced his own connection to the Jewish community, notably as a decorated athlete in the Maccabiah Games. From a small investment in a southern town, the Roberts family built a communications machine wired into the entire world. From the muddy trails of colonial peddlers to the glittering heights of global media, the story of Pennsylvania's Jewish family businesses is a powerful saga of resilience, innovation, and community. We've seen how families like the Friedlanders and Katzes built the foundations of commerce, one customer at a time. We've watched visionaries like Aaron Levy and Albert M. Greenfield actively shape the landscape of our towns and cities. We've marveled at the merchant princes, the Gimballs and the Kaufmans, who transformed retail into a civic institution. And we've seen how modern titans like the Annenbergs and the Roberts family harnessed the power of information to build empires that span the globe. These 10 stories are just a fraction of a much larger narrative. They represent a legacy of turning adversity into opportunity and contributing profoundly to the economic and cultural life of the Keystone State. Their influence is a living presence in the buildings we inhabit, the communities we call home, and the media we consume every day. The common thread, from a peddler's cart to a cable wire, is a story of ambition, family, and the enduring pursuit of the American dream. The history of entrepreneurship is rich and diverse, and we've only scratched the surface. What are your family's stories of building a life and a business? Do you know of other influential families that have shaped your community? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We read everyone, and if you enjoyed this journey into the hidden history of the Keystone State, please like this video and subscribe for more stories that have shaped our world. Thanks for watching.